6:30, I call this meeting of the Manchester by the Sea Board, Select Board to order. Yeah.
Here.
Brian.
Here.
And it's here, John.
John is here.
Excellent. Are there any public comments? Non-agenda items, but this meeting is being recorded. Okay. I don't see anything online.
I don't see anything
Here.
here either.
There is no chairman's report today. Next question is, are there action items that we need to update for the, minute? Okay. Okay, the first item on our agenda is the Historic District Commission's 50th commemoration. Mike. Don, would you like to speak to that?
I submitted some information with you all, but I can talk generally about, the Historic District Commission. In 1960, the state passed a law, Mass General Law 40C, which enabled communities across the state to create historic districts. We in Manchester, passed by town meeting in 1975, a local district which starts around Ashland, continues down Bridge Street and Bennett Street through Central, Union, up Washington to Summer Street. It's a pretty linear district. That created the commission, which oversees the district and the changes that happen from that are visible from a public way. So if someone comes in seeking a building permit, the building inspector directs them to the Historic District Commission to file an application for a certificate of appropriateness, non-applicability or hardship. And then we determine whether it's in keeping with the historic character of the community. We have guidelines that were developed. The SDG.
No, they've been changed several times since, but I suspect soon after the original.
So.
I can comment to that, but I will hold my comments.
Okay. A law enables commissions to create guidelines so that it's not just sort of a blanket, whatever we say goes kind of thing. There are some criteria. And the National Register of Historic Places District, which closely mirrors but is a little bit larger than our local district, was created in 1990. And since then, there hasn't really been any changes to the district or any attempts to create other districts. So obviously the community has many historic resources in many areas you might consider to be a district based on geography and proximity of housing or buildings. So 2 years ago, we started creating a plan to survey the whole town. We got a consultant who created that survey plan along the guidelines that the Mass Historical Commission sets out. And then last year we had the first phase of survey and inventory done with a consultant. He went up School Street and some of the streets to the east, and that just was finished at the end of September, and it's on our website, so you can check out and see what some of the historic properties are around the School Street area. And we hope to continue. There's probably 3 to 5 more phases to go. So we're going to seek some more grant funding, possibly from the state, although they get their money from the National Park Service. So it may be difficult to get any more federal funding in the meanwhile. But it was a $30,000 project, so it's not a lot of money to do, a phase of survey, so we may seek town funds or CPC funds, if that's possible.
Thank you. John?
Yeah, I'd like to add to that. Rosemary's been the chair of the Historic District Commission for a number of years. I probably had the longest tenure, at least recently, I think 9 or 10 years. I think I finished out somebody's term for a half a year and then was on there for 9 years. With regard to the guidelines, when I came on, that was my first assignment. The guidelines were from 1981 and they were 5 pages long. So there really wasn't any kind of guidance. And so I recall going through guidelines from, I will say, 10 different communities all throughout the North Shore, looking for communities that had historic stuff. And then stealing paragraphs from those various guidelines that made sense. And it probably took over a year to do that. And we wound up with a document that is what, maybe 40 pages long or something, 40 or 50 pages long. It stands today. Maybe I think it needs to be updated a little bit now, but a lot of it still applies with regard to what the situation is today. I thought it would be good when I saw that this was on the agenda. I said, okay, so what's the Historic District Commission done that makes a difference in the district over the past 10 years or so? Because I don't have perspective back from that. There are 3 projects that stand out in my mind. One that we reviewed on several occasions was the honor roll on the Common and the Common itself. And that was a very major undertaking, and that was not without controversy, as major projects often are. But I think we'll all agree that the Common looks a lot better than it did, say, 4 or 5 years or so ago. So that certainly is something that when people drive through town, they see what the Common looks like, and certainly the honor roll is a prominent feature of that. There are 2 buildings, I think, that stood out in my mind in review, and a lot of the reviews that go on in the historic district are things that the average person would not see. We're dealing with windows and roofs sometimes, things that fences, things that wouldn't necessarily be obvious. But on Ashland, there are 2 Greek Revival buildings opposite each other. And both of them were in serious disrepair 6, 7 years ago. I know one was done when you were, I think, on Rosemary, but the other one, I think, predated you. And it had, metal fire escapes on the side hanging off. It was really in tough shape. And our objectives, obviously, are, from a street perspective, make the buildings look as original as possible. And I think both buildings have been restored. And if you go down Ashland and look at them, they are really very, very nice structures that are reflective of the time when they were built, which was probably the mid 19th century or so. And then the Robardi building, which is across the street here. And that was restored, 6 or 7 years ago.
11 Central?
Yeah, no, the Robardi building,
Door.
The,
where you live.
yeah, no, that was done, I bought it in 16,
Okay,
so.
it was done in 18 or something.
No, yeah, we started
Okay,
probably in 17 or 18, yeah.
anyway, that building as well, but those are the structures that stand out in my mind, and at least the recent history. And Rosemary said it goes back a long time, back to the 70s. But I think that the town has done well by the Historic District Commission, and I certainly look forward to many more years of the committee keeping an eye on how our downtown evolves from a.
Also the historical commission by design
Yeah.
of the legislation. And so that kind of ebbs and flows in activity. And we've been doing a little work with the museum to try to engage a little more about activity like in the cemeteries. Jack Kirk of the CPC is very focused on restoring the headstones and the fencing around Rosedale Cemetery, and obviously the preservation of the chapel was a project that CPC funded and that the Historical Commission supported. And so I think there's some more opportunities for things outside the district to get some attention and support. CPC funds or other attention, just marketing really.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I think the district commission has done a great job. It's, you know, I've only been here since 2013 and I can see the change just within that time frame. You know, the buildings are looking beautifully. I think the few meetings that I've attended, I hear a nice balance between trying to let the property owners do some modernization, you know, for ease of maintenance and stuff like that, yet still keeping with the historic character of the downtown. I think the commission's done a really nice job with that balance. Thank you.
No,
I move that the select board extend their congratulations to the Historic District Commission on their 50th anniversary and for the work that they have done in improving the consistency and beauty of downtown.
Second,
Any discussion? John?
yes.
Anne says yes. Kathy?
Yeah.
Brian? Jeff?
yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks for coming by. Yeah.
Okay. The next item is, the, 20 FY 24 annual comprehensive financial report award, which came from the Government Finance Officers Association. And it's the 9th year that
This is the 9th consecutive year that Manchester by the Sea has received this Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. So it really started when Andrea Mainville was joined the team here, but it really is a spread out team effort amongst all department heads and their supporting staff. So we wanted to add it to the agenda to recognize the good work that our team has done to for almost 10 years in a row now. We'll be applying for our next one. The way that Government Finance Officers Association speaks to this award is that it demonstrates a constructive spirit of full disclosure to clearly communicate its financial story and motivate potential users and user groups to read the report. The Certificate of Achievement is the highest form of recognition in the area of governmental accounting and financial reporting, and its attainment represents a significant accomplishment by our government and its management. So to Andrea and the team, past and present, congratulations and great work.
Continue to do a great job.
Okay. So the next item is a reserve fund transfer for the fire from the Finance Committee's reserve to the fire department for $13,002.39, which is the matching part of a FEMA grant for fire equipment and self-contained breathing apparatus. Finance Committee has already approved this. There, any discussion?
What's the total cost here? The 13 is just really a
I have the other one.
couple $100,000 or something.
260.
lot of money, yeah.
260 plus, yeah, so it's 24 packs, another 24 bottles and 2 rip packs, so.
Okay, so we're about 5% of that.
Yeah, and they were
Oh.
due to expire in this coming June, where we would have to replace them all ourselves, so this is exceptional timing.
Deal.
Just a quick question. Do we have, because we cooperate, you know, regionally with other districts, do we cooperate on purchases?
So we use the state bid list and the cooperative purchasing agreement.
Like there's, like the state negotiates the cost and we just place
Yeah,
the PO.
exactly.
Got it. Okay.
Yep.
This is I'll just, mention regarding the chief and his effort to get this is a really big grant for us, almost more than $280,000 total. For only to have to put $13,000 of our own money into this. This is a big grant. And, just want to recognize the chief for his efforts.
And if I can publicly recognize firefighter Eric Junker, who was also instrumental in helping write the grants and come up with different ways of presenting it to get it sold. So,
What's the life expectancy of this equipment?
as long as they don't
When
change,
you're gonna be back?
as long as they don't change, we should get 15 to 20 years out of that.
Oh, okay, all right,
Nice.
Nice.
a lifetime.
John, you're up.
Oh, am I up? Geez, you're right. I move that the board approve this reserve fund transfer of $13,002.39 to the fire equipment SCBA account.
Second,
Further discussion? Jeff,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
congrats, thank you. Kathy,
yes.
Anne, yes. Okay. Thank you. The next item is to vote to accept FEMA assistance to the firefighters grant. There are 15 pages
You got the short version.
of requirements that you have to meet. I assume that you are prepared to meet all of them and understand all of them.
Yes.
Good, so I don't have to.
You want to explain some more of it?
Sure. So current staffing of the fire department is 4 groups staffed with 4 firefighter, an officer and 3 firefighters, so 4 bodies. And then if one's on vacation, sick, personal day, we drop down to 3. Where this grant came into place, this is like hitting the lottery. They get thousands and thousands of applicants every year for this. What put us to the top is this makes us meet national standards of going to having 5 people per shift and then dropping to 4, so we can maintain that staffing. So that, and then they take into account, we protect just shy of $5 billion worth of property in town, along with the highways, infrastructure, and the population. So they look at all the hazards in town and see if this is worth federal grants. And this year we were chosen for the grant. It's a 3-year performance period. Years 1 and 2, they pick up 75%. Year 3, they pick up 35%. There's no requirement past the 3-year period. Forthcoming, I think I've talked to everybody, is my job in the 3 years during this performance period is to show a financial benefit to the town with the added staff, added services, et cetera. So this is a good trial period for us to be at that number and show the resources and the capabilities that it improves the fire department.
We had a lengthy discussion about it at the finance committee meeting as well, and they voted to support the select board's acceptance of the grant.
I move the select board accept the FEMA assistance to firefighters grant.
Second. Second.
I just got a couple of questions. How does this affect overtime? And is training involved?
So training is involved depending on the people that we hire. We've been very good. We've been able to obtain trained firefighters and paramedics, which I believe that we'll be able to with onboarding these individuals. So the grant does cover training. And then when with respect to overtime, it's pretty much, as you see in our curve now, it's kind of come down that we're staffing because we just drop down when somebody's on leave. We don't backfill that person. Obviously, if we have multiple people, unforeseen things that could trigger overtime, but as you've seen in the last 2 or 3 years since I've been here, you've seen a dramatic decrease in that, and that's just because of that increased staffing. So it's correlated to staffing.
Right, so I think part of that correlation though is the call firefighting
Mhm.
service, which you've done an outstanding job in beefing up.
Yep.
So again, same comment I had 2 weeks ago. This is nice to overstaff while we're doing some planned retirements, et cetera. But the way we were gonna keep to the standard, staffing or close to it is through the call service. So that we wouldn't have to pay as many full-time firefighters. That was the whole strategy that, was originally developed because it is a little town. So I think you've done a great job with the call firefighting service, and that's proof that is working to reduce the overtime.
Other comments?
Kathy just stole mine, so I'm good.
I did.
I was gonna ask about comment.
That was the plan.
Ready for the vote?
Yeah.
Okay, Jeff,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Anne says yes.
John, yes.
Very good.
Thank you guys very much.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Great job.
Thank you.
Nice work.
Yeah.
One of those, new firefighters that you signed you for.
Probably a good idea.
We don't need to go.
The next item on the agenda is the Downtown Improvement Committee draft mission statement. Um,
I'll introduce the topic. Yeah, as the liaison to the Downtown Improvement Projects Committee, we agreed that since they seem to be involved in different ways with the downtown improvement than their original charter. And so we asked the team to go back, look at their charter, and modernize it a bit. And when we looked at that versus other communities, town charters for their downtown committees, we also noticed that the other communities had much simpler, brief charters. So rather than just, nitpicking with the one they had, they did a rewrite to model a more modern version of a downtown improvement committee charter. And you have that before you. And I think, Steve Carhart is here as the chair with Marlene Dolan to any feedback you have, any changes you would like. And Steve, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, well, just as background, the original Downtown Improvement Project Committee was formed about 20 years ago to redo the downtown sidewalks, and curbing and lighting. And that has had some financial problems, which we are hopeful we solved in the not too distant future. And we've been working with DPW to advance that consistent with the broader municipal planning. In the meantime, since I became chair of the committee, various chairs of the select board have asked us to do other things like provide feedback on the planning for complete streets, to participate in things like the resilience planning, the MBTA zoning planning. We've undertaken projects on parking, on public restrooms, on signage, either as a group or in collaboration with other entities such as the planning board. So what we're doing here is we are trying to essentially just bring this all up to date. So this is our best understanding of what has been asked of us and what we're glad to do and extend in the future. And it seemed appropriate to put it on paper so that everybody sees it, and ask for a name change. So we're the Downtown Improvement Committee, concerned with not just the infrastructure, but also policies and planning and related amenities. As a practical matter, the way that with the development of the improved governance practice policy with designation of Kathy as our designated liaison, the detailed implementation of this as we go on has basically been staying in touch with Kathy, and if we were going in a direction that was for any reason unlikely to be supported by the select board, we'd do something else. And sort of a simple example of that is when there was so much concern about the downtown commercial district over the summer, we endeavored to, take an initiative in conjunction with the chamber to see what we could do to ensure that not only if there were, let's say, zoning that required or encouraged commercial space on the ground floor, that there would in fact be commercial tenants, because it really doesn't work very well if the space is mandated, but there are no tenants. And so, of course, discussing that with Kathy, she noted and brought me maybe aware that there was going to be a longer term effort on the part of the planning board to define in broad terms what the downtown improvement would be. So what we did is we determined that our scope would be narrowed to, for the moment at least, unless the planning board asked us to help them, would be narrowed to finding a way to promote commercial space that is currently in Manchester, currently built and vacant, with realtors and other bodies that are likely to have an interest. So that's an example of how we are working with the select board through our liaison on a day-to-day basis as in current time. And obviously, we are advisors, we're volunteers, we're not elected officials, we're not municipal employees, but we're here to help. And I like to say we try to be the grease and the glue that keeps Main Street and the town hall on the same page as best we can. So that's us, we're here to help, and we're very, very glad that there's so much interest in the future of downtown. With all the other significant things that are going on, it is too easy to take the success, particularly of our merchants in downtown, for granted, and assume that the tax base and the shopping opportunities and hustle and bustle and interest just is going to be there, and it doesn't need to be affirmatively supported. And we see it as our corner of the universe to be advocates for.
No, I looked at the copy. I tried to compare it with the previous copy. I think the key words are an advisory body that helps to make the downtown commercially successful. And commercially successful were words that weren't in there before, I don't think. And so I think that's, you fill in whatever needs to be done, and you described that rather aptly just a couple of minutes ago when you said, well, the planning board is working on this, so let's focus on this particular piece for now. And that may change as things evolve with regard to the planning board's initiatives, but I think it's good, and less is more.
Glad you feel that way.
Yeah.
So I move the select board approve the mission statement for the Downtown Improvement Committee.
A friendly amendment. And rename it to the Downtown Improvement Committee.
It's been often referred to by its initials.
And that
Yeah, I know, we're not
Oh,
gonna do
that's-
that anymore.
You're not.
That change.
Yeah, see?
I'm
We'll see
sorry.
how-
We need to
We
do
still
that.
have-
We don't
we'll
do
see
that
how
with
that
Mike and
DP.
Ted.
So the motion at the moment is to approve the mission statement and the change of name.
Second,
Jeff,
Sure.
Brian,
Yes.
Kathy, yes, Anne says yes.
John, yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
thank you for all your work.
Thanks, Steve. Yep.
We look forward to working to make a great downtown.
Yeah.
Thank you, and to
Thank you.
Arlene, I know she worked on that.
Oh, yeah.
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 The next item on the agenda is the municipal agreement for veterans for office. And I have a real nit. It refers generally to the Manchester Board of Selectmen.
That was my hit too, you stole my hit. But it's true.
I have an updated version that changes the term selectman to select board in all places, so that's here with me.
There's one tricky place where they refer to the boards of selectmen everywhere. Where is it?
Yeah, it was quite a few places I noticed, even, not just our town, but,
Yeah, right. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
so that's been fixed.
Any other comments?
No, I believe this arrangement, with Rockport, Gloucester, Hamilton, Wenham and us, has been in place for 10+ years, from everything I've heard so far. Everyone's very pleased with the arrangement. It is going up a little bit in price. The last agreement was for $15,000 in year one, and then $17,250 in years 2 and 3. This agreement starts with the same $17,250, and then it goes up $500 year 2, and then goes up to 17,750, and then year three, 18,250. So it's still not a large increase, and I think it's worth it to continue the arrangement.
Good deal.
Mhm.
I move that the board approve the intermunicipal agreement for a district veterans office, service office, and authorize the town administrator to execute said agreement.
Second,
Further discussion? John,
yes.
Anne says yes, Kathy,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
and Jack.
Yes.
Okay, the next item on the, oh, just reverting to that a little bit. I assume that when the boards of, the chairman of the boards, somebody will be organizing that and letting us know. The quarterly meetings of the,
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. For the veteran service?
yes, yes.
Yeah, have you guys actually, as a member of the select board, actually participated that in the past, or did the town administrator do that on your behalf?
I believe the town, well, in the time I have been chair, I have never been involved.
Okay. So, yeah, whichever way you wanna do it, I can attend or have
Okay,
one of you
fine,
guys.
but you may be my designate.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. The next item is, committee of board appointments. And the first person on the list is John Croft. And I think. No.
So before we get to the the appointments, I had pointed out to Tony on this one in particular. We went back and forth a little bit today. I don't believe this was publicly posted. It's a pretty important committee. So I think we had a little bit of a process hiccup.
Hmm.
And it's a pretty important
Yeah.
committee. However, after we texted back and forth, I went back and had to refresh my memory. We actually had an opening last year, which was the job of the town moderator to appoint. So first of all, my question is, we're sure this particular position is to be appointed by the select board. We have confirmed that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. Second, more than one candidate came forward and expressed interest, and I did not have an opportunity to communicate that to you today. That's why I'm a little bit uncomfortable with, not that this person is not 100% qualified, but the other candidate was very qualified as well. So I'm just a little bit uncomfortable with not posting it a couple of weeks, just, give anybody who's served on a board or whatever time to apply and just vote at our next meeting. It's an important committee, so I'm a little uncomfortable, especially since somebody else, expressed interest before.
I wasn't aware that there
Yeah.
was someone else.
And I didn't remember, I
that expressed interest.
apologize. So,
So I can't, so then the next part of the conversation that we had was, in a scenario where we have one spot, one seat and multiple candidates, would the board want me to do the interviewing, or would the board like to do that interviewing?
Well, I have a question first. Is this a person, you're the only person that knows this person was interested?
no, I believe they had reached out to Ellen Wilson. It was my understanding. I was actually gonna pick up the phone and call the person today, but I didn't want to do that because if we're not gonna publicly post it, I don't want to stir the pot, but I am like 99.9% sure that person contacted Alan.
I think I know who you're speaking of, and I know she had expressed an interest in the
Yes,
position. This was a while ago.
For what it's worth, the finance committee does not meet again until November 20th.
oh, okay,
So
we have a little time.
we have another meeting,
November 3rd.
and I think there's time to post if we start immediately. So,
I would feel uncomfortable, because I would feel if I was that person and
yeah,
somebody else was hopped over, I would not be comfortable, so. If that's okay.
How did we end up with it and not the town moderator? What happened there? What changed there?
Some of the finance committee positions are appointed by the moderator and some by the select board. Tom Perkins, is moved out of town, so his seat, he was appointed by the select board previously,
Oh, yeah, okay.
and his term ends in June.
Yeah.
So the candidate came to us from the chair of the finance committee, I believe, through that process. And so because it was a select board appointment.
Right, I didn't realize that, okay.
So we can post it and then I guess just let me know if you want me to do the interview if the other person comes forward formally, or if you want to interview
so
them both.
I thought, and I could be remembering this wrong, I thought we did authorize Tony to kind of do interviewing for advisory committees, but not the adjudicatory ones.
Mhm.
And is a adjudicatory committee.
Mhm.
So I don't think we specifically talked about what to do if there were multiple applicants for an opening on an adjudicatory committee. You know, the way, the finance committee does advise us, but because they by law, by state law, have specific responsibilities, that makes them different than downtown improvement and bike and ped. And so we had classified them a couple of years ago as an adjudicatory committee. And we treat them a little bit differently. But I don't think we gave Tony guidance on what to do in this situation.
If I was unclear, maybe I misunderstood. I thought it was, across the board, if we had an open seat and we had candidates for them, that I would do the initial interview and then make a
That
recommendation.
was my understanding.
That's what I thought. I
Okay,
didn't know.
I'm
we
sorry, I
said-
thought we did it
It's just
just
a
for
cleanup,
advisory.
to.
It's a
tighten things up,
process
yeah.
efficiency thing, but we can revisit that as well.
No, I think that you've already interviewed one candidate. In this particular case, might as well interview the second candidate.
I'm just also looking at the schedule. There are 2 slots that come up in June for 2026.
Mhm.
Okay, now I assume, I assume the other one is probably an appointed. I don't think they'd have 2. There's probably one of each. So one is a moderator. And I think that's probably the slot that, it was Mike Pratt, and Mike Pratt was replaced by Gar.
Yes,
Mhm.
correct.
So those are the 2 slots that are, one that's open right now.
But based on our process, not every slot is publicly posted. Someone has to complete, I thought it was 2 terms before we publicly post the opening. So I guess, Tony, it would be good for you to go review our, it's a regulation, select board regulation. I forget what we call it. I tried looking for it and I couldn't find it by doing a search on the website. So I personally would appreciate a link to our town policies that aren't bylaws. I couldn't find it, but we actually went through this whole discussion a couple of years ago and spelled out when we publicly post and don't. So, because we don't want to kick people out after 1 term if they've done a good job, and we don't want them to have to go through an arduous process, but
Right.
we specified some things in there and we talked about it for quite a while.
Okay.
So like I said, I tried to find it, I couldn't.
We'll post, that there's a vacancy up and, for a term expiring in June. And if, anyone else submits interest, I'll meet with them before our next select board meeting and, we'll go from there.
Like Kathy, I think this is a particularly
It's an important,
important
Yeah.
appointment and
do you wanna go interview it with, because you are the liaison. We also talked about that as well. You were the
Okay.
liaison, could
Yeah,
join the
fine.
interview.
if that's okay with you,
Absolutely.
okay.
Yep.
Just let me know when it is and I will be
All
there.
right.
The other thing I would offer as a suggestion is, Tom is leaving with specific skills he brought to the committee. I don't feel I know him well enough to know what that gap is that we're trying to fill. So, you might have a conversation about that.
With Sarah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so do you want to skip the finance committee one?
Let's,
Yeah.
Mm.
yes. And the next appointment is Brian Cray for the one and Reed, Manchester Housing Authority. And
So this has been posted. It's actually an elected seat. So when a vacancy occurs outside of the election cycle, we have to follow chapter 41, section 11, which I double checked to make sure it wasn't a joint vote between us and the housing authority. This is just a vote of the select board to fill the remaining term. And it was posted for quite some time, didn't have a ton of interest. Brian submitted his letter of interest. He currently serves on the planning board. He moved to town about 4 years ago. He has a public affairs background, specifically with housing development projects from the private side. He's also a member of Bike and Ped. He understands the additional commitment and is willing to serve and has the ability to, meet the need of the committee. So I recommend Brian to be appointed to fill the seat.
Is there further discussion?
He may be
I
on,
think
he is, he's on.
He's on there.
I am, thank you.
Your name.
Yes.
Hi, Madam Chair and members of the Select Board. Thank you all. I'm passionate about both senior housing and public housing, affordable housing. And I think my background and my commitment to the community through current involvements in the Planning Board and Bike and Pedestrian Committee would be a huge asset to the Housing Authority. And I have met with the chair, Elaine, and attended a meeting to kind of get the scope and lay of the land of the Housing Authority Board and the current situations there. And I would serve the board and the community and look forward to bettering the community and public housing.
Would it be your intention to run when your appointed term ends?
Remind me when this term would end.
I believe this term,
3 years.
this
Next
goes until May 19th.
2026.
So Beth Heisey's position is replacing.
I think because of the way this works is that the appointment fills the term until the next election cycle. And then the remaining years of the term that they're filling is up for election. I think is how it works.
So Brian's got a good question here.
Can he hold 2 elected positions?
Unless, I believe so. I don't think as a select board member you can do that, but I don't know if there's an issue with
I
the
know it's
planning
not,
board.
because I went through this when I was on the ZBA. If I couldn't be appointed now, because I'm an appointing authority, but I would like to, you still held on to your.
Yeah, the
your
HDC, yeah.
Because you had it before you got on. Now, I'm just concerned, maybe that's,
I think as long as it's not a paid position, isn't that?
Well,
what it is?
I think what Brian is getting at is he would not be able to be appointed to the ZBA because the appointing authority is
yeah.
the select.
It sits on-
He wouldn't be able to appoint himself.
I just want to make
right?
sure that
He was grandfathered in.
one individual can hold 2 elected positions in this same town.
Right, that's a good.
And I think that's it. That's my only concern. I think Brian
He's an
is very
excellent.
qualified and I'd love to have him on. I just don't want to do something that's going to put the position, and we'll be talking about this in 2 months when
Right.
the state gets a hold of this. Or but who's gonna tell the state?
How somebody will.
I'm just quickly looking to see if it says anything in our general bylaws about the planning board.
Chat.
So what if we
I
were
think
to
the
take a
state
vote
says-
and just make it conditioned
What?
on your,
Solaris is permitted.
Yeah.
yeah, it is permitted, your confirmation that it is allowed by law.
Yeah.
Can we do that?
The
committee needs the help, yeah.
Yeah.
Very difficult for us to get a quorum, so.
Right.
Okay, since this, at the moment, is an appointed office.
Right.
I think, okay, it's a slightly complicated motion,
It's my motion too.
yes, right.
Go to chat GPT.
So,
We'll
yeah,
just add to the end of it.
Just a
Subject to the
comment.
town administrator
Yeah.
confirming that
This is
This
a
individual's
legal,
committed
a
to-
legal appointment.
Yeah.
All right,
And it's about
So-
paid.
I make that motion. I move that the board appoint Brian Frey to the Manchester Housing Authority for a term until the next annual town election on May 19th, 2026. Subject to the town administrator confirming that this is a legal appointment.
Second.
Jeff,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes,
Kathy?
Yes.
Anne says yes.
John, yes.
and Tony, according to ChatGPT, it's okay.
Thank you for stepping up, Brian.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Yeah.
Welcome aboard.
Yeah.
Chuck's the one you're talking all about ChatGPT. Oh, great. Yes.
The next is. We have
Cultural Council.
cultural council, we seem to have 4,
Yes.
excellent.
How many open, there's 4 open?
Yes.
So I actually did the research. It's 9 positions are allowed on this council.
6 to 15, according to the bylaw. And 3 openings have been advertised on our website. So I imagine there's probably has been 9 in the
Yeah,
past.
Well, we did the inventory a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I looked it up, said there were 9, but there were like 5 openings. I mean, it's been a very difficult council, Bill, so this is terrific.
Yeah.
So I met with, so Miranda Gaudet was really
You saw her name before.
the initial person approached from members of the existing cultural council. And Miranda spoke with Kate Reed and Martha Chapman and Debbie Pine about the cultural council, and all 4 come with really great background, and they are very passionate and eager to get involved. Miranda's been a lifelong resident. She worked for Manchester Museum, has an art background. Her mother actually started the recycling program here in town. Debbie's a long-term resident since 1972. She was previously a science teacher in Melrose, has grant writing experience. Currently is a reading specialist at the Memorial Elementary. Martha Chapman has been a resident since 1970. She previously was an art teacher at Ayers Elementary in Beverly. Previously worked at the Manchester Museum, currently helps teach in Park and Rec programs geared towards youth and adults. And Kate Reed grew up in Marblehead, but she has 22 years of experience as a teacher. She's a library assistant at Memorial Elementary School currently. And like I said, all 4 of them are really excited about joining the council and bringing their new perspective,
Mhm.
which is good.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
We're all really excited. I think for us, we saw the success of the last summer, the Rotunda project that we put on, and just how it really galvanized the community, and seeing all the different interpretations of our, famous Rotunda. I even go into my daughter's elementary school, and all of the students' projects are still hanging up on the wall of all their different black and white drawings. And I think this is a chance for the Cultural Council to not only teach people about our history of the town and the surrounding area through art and science, but also to really kind of get the younger community involved in more fun activities too. So it doesn't we can have all of the, all of the art exhibits and all of the speakers, but we can also do things that are fun, that really will bring in the community together. And I'll say, I think our first order of business is, in speaking with the state, we haven't done, I think to your point earlier about how it's been a tough council to fill, all of us are really eager to get community input, and that is actually part of our state guidelines. They asked us when we had last done community input, and it has been some time. So I think, our first order of business is to work on getting together a survey or something that we can share, either, in coordination with you all, and sort of get out to the community about how we could be helpful and what types of programs they would like to see. You know, our grant cycle just closed on the 16th, so we have until January to review our grants. We have about $5,700 from the state. And so far we have about 8 submissions. Some repeat people, obviously from First Parish Church, PTO, things like that. So it will be really exciting, but I think our first order of business will be to do that. Well, our first order of business is participating in the Wobble and Goblin Walk with some candy to say hello. But then it will be to try and get a survey to talk to the community and get our name out there.
Great. Anyone else? Martha?
I'm here.
Yeah, do you have anything to add? Martha, Debbie, Kate?
Go,
I
Kate,
think we're
go.
all just really excited to add to what's already great about Manchester and to invite more people to get to know who's in town and just bring some more experiences in. And I think we're excited to get going.
Yep.
I move the board appoint Miranda Gaudet to the Cultural Council for a term to expire on June 20th, 2027.
Second.
Friendly amendment, June 30th. 2027.
What did I say?
Is it 20th?
Good Lord.
That's what they can't read.
It's written.
You're,
June 30th.
you're on a school committee?
Second,
Am I right?
second. I'll second. How's that?
Jeff,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Anne says yes.
And John, yes.
Okay.
And then
And then Brian.
I'm gonna see if I can do this right. Let me show you how it's done. I move that the board appoint Kate Reed, Martha Chapman, and Debbie Pine to the Cultural Council for terms to expire on June 30th, 2028.
Second.
Who's theirs?
John,
Yes.
Anne says yes. Kathy.
Yes.
Brian.
Yes.
And Jeff.
I'm gonna sublet my motions to you from now on.
Thank you all for applying and
Yeah.
your enthusiasm for improving the awareness of culture, of the culture of Manchester and improving it. Thank you.
Yay.
Yep.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Steve. Okay.
The consent agenda consists of the minutes.
I even read them.
Make a motion.
You're an overachiever tonight.
Yeah. Just curious. We just touched on the highlights. I move the select board approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Second.
Get deep into the weeds with those minutes.
Okay, Jeff,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Anne says yes.
John, yes.
Very good. I skipped over,
That's why.
I skipped over a lot of things, actually. Town administrator goals.
So I sent the draft version of goals and objectives for July 25 to June 26 over to you last week and tried to maybe some of the things that we talked about during our retreat, some of the key projects and some of the priorities that we all discussed and identified. And wondering if you have any feedback on that or comments or if you want to vote to approve.
We have to approve this.
John.
Yeah, I went through all this. Actually, the first 2/3 is a position description rather than goals. I pulled out all the goals. They're really in the last,
Yes.
3 or 4 where they were specific. I assumed that for all of them, and for goals, you really need kind of timelines or something. This is 25 to June 26th. So really the goal is by June 26th, yeah, this is where I want to be. So, but in the future, you don't have to put all this together.
Yeah.
Really, you just need the last, I put arrows in front of, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 goals
Okay.
that were down at the end. It was under budget, it was number 4
Let's see if you're.
and 5. Okay.
Well, I guess I agree with the concept. I'm not sure I agree on the individual ones.
Okay,
So
and then-
we can discuss philosophy
Right.
here.
Infrastructure, I had 1, 3, and 5, surely were there. I thought there ought to be a little more focus on PFAS, because I think that's going to kind of rise to the top a little bit here.
I think we have an update on that, don't we?
That's coming, yeah, and I'm doing that in a vacuum, so I don't know what the story is quite with that, but. So I mean, I don't know that I necessarily want to get into the weeds on all of this, but,
I agree with John. The way, first of all, very comprehensive. I didn't
Yeah.
catch anything that was missing. It was more, less is more, right? So, in the past, the way I've been taught to think about these is, there's your day job, right? And all that stuff is in your contract. We expect you to do a good job at certain things. Those types of what I call motherhood and apple pie
Yeah.
activities, you don't need to put them in your goals.
Mhm.
And the goals are things that you're, like John said, a project or some type of other change that you're looking to drive. So, I would think of it in those terms, because then you can probably cut half of them out. So for example, on the government administration piece, anytime you see the support items like support the housing initiatives, housing is important, but what is Tony gonna do as a town administrator for that? Is there something in particular you need to drive? If not, then it's part of your day job, so I just would think of it that way. On the communication side, I think there are some things there that we do need to improve. We always need to improve. Like number 1, I would keep that in there. We always need to improve, access to information. I think that's good. But the other 2 that are there, it's like, that's your day job. You do a good job at that. Under the budget and finance, I thought, number 2 is good and 5 and 6. The others seem to be, again, part of your day job. You keep them or not, it's up to you. When we get down into the infrastructure, I agree with John. This is where the meat of a lot of projects are. But number 4, that's kind of your day job to work with anytime you see yourself using the word generally or kind of continuing, that might be a little bit of a flag that, oh, that's part of my day job. Do I need to include it or not? So I would just look at it that way, but I thought they were very comprehensive and thank you for pulling that all together.
and with regard to Kathy's comments, the only thing that I would add that she did not mention is number 4 under budget.
Yes.
That's a very important thing. I mean, that's to develop a balanced budget that addresses the, cost pressures, et cetera. But that certainly is in this fiscal year. So. But like Kathy says, it's all there.
Yeah, you basically filled up a blue book in college.
Well, I'll shrink it down. And,
Throwing up a shit against the wall.
Add
On the stick.
some more, like PFAS, I'll add to.
I think that's,
Yeah, I think
Or
that's
make it a
a
little
good
bit more
catch. I didn't catch that. yet.
Specific.
specific, projects or objectives.
Happy to
Slim it
Happy
down.
to come in, with too much and
Yeah.
be told
That's
to
right.
shrink it down, then come in with less.
I just want to amend that. Did you even have blue books when you were in school?
It goes back, I don't even think I had it, maybe middle school.
Remember the blue book?
Yeah, I do.
I live
I do.
It was big,
I live
and you threw enough shit against there, and hopefully,
Yeah.
Just another thought, so one reason for slimming down the goals is for focus, right? So we know what we're gonna focus on, because the next step is usually priorities, right? So if there may be some, they're all not necessarily created equal. Some might be a high priority, others may be more of a stretch goal that, you know, if we don't get it done by the end of the year, you know, we're not gonna fall apart. So think of it in those terms. That's one of the reasons for slowing it down.
Yes. I would like to see a priorities list.
You can even just be a high, medium, you know,
No,
stretch
no,
goal
this- Yeah,
type of thing, however you wanna phrase it.
because everyone has their priorities and you have to just figure out
Yeah.
what's the best interest of the town as far as their priorities go.
And that's a good way for us to know what's on your mind and for us to talk about it, because if you say something's a high priority and we're like, I don't know about that, then we know we're not on the same page.
Yeah, well, likewise, I like to
Yeah.
know what your priorities are too, so that
So we have
I'm
like
staying
five.
on, staying on track with those and we're all aware of that. Obviously, things come up and there's not enough time in the day to get every single thing done, but understanding what your priorities are, what I believe, our priorities should be, coming to an agreement on that helps guide the rest of the year.
So, okay, we want Tony to come back and give us a one pager with about 6 bullets,
I think-
7.
Well, I
Or are we
think
good?
he should go through, he has a good list. I
Yeah,
don't
he does.
necessarily feel the need to change his list other than eliminate some things.
Yeah,
And maybe just come back with
just
which
the-
ones he thinks, he can annotate a list, which ones he thinks are the highest priority, and we can have a
I
good
think that's all we
conversation.
need.
that's all we need.
Yeah.
Because I don't wanna
Just edit it down.
spend a lot of time on this.
Edit it down.
We all know it. He's serving the best interest of the community.
Mhm.
So that's not in question at all. Just wanna see where on a list of what's happening and what's.
Mhm.
Do you wanna know? I put out arrows in front of them.
Yeah, I'll take it. All right, thank you.
Okay, so, I don't think we need to move on anything, except we'll put this on the activities.
Oh, yeah, the action list.
Action list for
Yeah.
next meeting. Right, and rather than looking at the basic motions, I will go back to the actual agenda. And the next thing is liaison updates. Yeah.
Our advisory met and they had a conversation with the town accountant over the enterprise fund. It looks like we'll probably have a recommendation to us to move that forward coming some point in the near future. Planning board continues to work on downtown zoning, and right now they're working on plans for public outreach over that. And I spent several nights at Essex Tech over the last couple of weeks, going over the lottery situation.
Oh, yeah.
And what the board voted, the plan the board voted on for us. I'll just go over Manchester's end of it because I could spend 3 nights here doing this, so. Basically, what's gonna happen is we're gonna have a 5-person minimum. No, there's no maximums in any of these plans. So it'll be a 5-person minimum per year. So in 4 years' time, that could put us at 20.
I know it's five new kids each year.
5 new kids in every class, right?
How many we got there now?
With, I think I was talking to Marie the other night. I think we're gonna be right around 10, 11.
Across all 4
10-ish.
classes?
Yeah,
Okay.
and we won't really know for a couple more weeks, but.
There was a good group that graduated.
Yeah, there was a bunch that graduated over the last couple of
Okay.
years, and then we had a couple of years that were low, and now it's starting to go the other way again, so it's growing anyway, but.
Okay.
So the lottery is gonna be 3 rounds, so what's gonna happen is, we're gonna have our 5, and every kid that applies in this town will be in for that. So it'll be a lottery within your own town's apportionment, which will be the 5.
But if you already have 5 kids there, everybody's,
This will be for the freshman class, so every year this is gonna happen.
5 for the
Every
freshman
year.
class.
Right.
Oh, that's,
And
All right,
then,
that's good.
so the first round will be within your town. Then round 2 is 10 days later. after school starts. So you have kids that don't show up, drop out, you know, whatever. This happens across the board for the first about month or so. So in the first 10 days, those seats will be filled by anybody else in your town that didn't get in on that lottery. Well, there'll be another lottery and it'll get filled by your town. Then round 3 will be anyone after that 10 days who's waitlisted. Any town that doesn't use their apportionment, that's all gonna go into a pool. And then
Increases your odds.
everybody's gonna go into a pool and then it's gonna get picked from
Right.
there.
But that doesn't, so say it drops to, we only have 3 one freshman year, the next year we open up with 5 again.
Right.
Yeah, you don't say that.
Every year you
But I'm-
start with 5, but
It's not like you're all spent
you
now.
could fill your 5. And then have, you know, let's say 2 kids waitlisted, then they could go back into the
Cool.
10 days later pool, or they could go back into the all over pool
Mhm.
and get picked again.
Like a really fair.
It's fair, but it's gonna be a lot better for us initially at being a small town, right?
Right.
But overall, people think it's gonna hurt technical education, and I do kind of agree with them, because you're not picking kids on any sort of measurement. So you're not seeing this kid could really use this kid's in a situation where it's gonna benefit them, like, all that's out the window, and you're just randomly
It's just
picking.
geography.
Yeah,
Right.
so
Just what's that?
so applications are out the window from the top list, the school doesn't get to choose their applicants.
Well, there's a computer picking them, that's basically.
Oh,
the way
but
it's gonna
before,
work.
I mean, you have to go to an interview.
Right, yeah, you'd have an interview and all that. So it's gonna be a work in progress. This is the first year, and basically what I was told is nothing's set in stone. And we can modify this if we need to. Like, one of my things was, you know, right now, we don't need those numbers necessarily. But if we had a big MBTA housing project go up, you know, like a small town like us, our need could double overnight. Based, you know, within a short amount of
So,
time.
yeah, how often are they?
So
gonna
we can,
reapportion?
right, so it's not set in stone, that's our number for now, and then they can adjust based on our need down the road.
How big is the freshman class?
538 kids.
Oh.
And how many people have, in the past year or 2, have competed for those slots? Coming from
In
all of the
town here?
towns? No,
Oh,
for the whole,
about approximately 15 to 1600.
all right. So they're only taking 1 and 3, 1 and 4, 1 and 3. Okay. But at that point, they were looking at an applicant's qualifications or record, and I'm not sure what the criteria
yeah.
are. But- And now it's just,
A
Rolling.
lot of it's their need, you
eh,
know, will it benefit them, you know, so, yeah, that's out the window.
Are they likely to continue in a trade beyond
Right.
high school? I think was
Right.
the
all right, well,
Yep.
it's an experiment.
So that's where we're at.
Thank you. Parks and Rec, they all have a meeting next, week on Wednesday, but currently have the, Shower House, Tux Point, application process. And about 20 people in 15 final that, selected their dates, that they will start on. The summer went really well. We'll get the numbers from them later, but so far I think the summer went well. Now we're currently getting ready for the Walkman golf on Saturday, bring your kids. Or not. The after school program is running. There's, you know, Heather's spending a lot of time back there. Keeping things afloat. And well, that's her first love. I think that she's ready to move on from that. And then getting ready for basketball in the winter season, so.
Who is the program is, or you are?
Well, I was on the court a couple of weeks ago and I need to get ready better than that. It was a time I could beat a fourth grader down the court. I don't really know what high school, well, high school hit band's going 3-person, so that's gonna be easier.
Oh.
But no, they'll be posting, I think, and taking applications, the end of this week, the first of next week. The draft, and then, season starts the 1st of December. And then we'll see how I am the second week of December. The high school season starts, the first and second week as far as scrimmage goes. So, yeah, that's all for, Parks and Rec. I don't have anything else because they're not meeting again next week. Or this week.
Let's see, well, we already talked about downtown improvement. The only other thing I'll mention there is so Mark Resnick came into the meeting, gave them a nice overview of the proposed downtown zoning districts that are being worked by the planning board. He received a lot of feedback from that committee, so I'm sure, that will be, they'll be very engaged when the public, conversations start to happen. I missed the Bike and Ped meeting. It was an in-person meeting last week. So I don't know what happened there, but they did reach out to me because I had asked them to consider giving us some advice. They're an advisory committee on the snow plowing. We're scheduled on our action list to talk about expectations around the plowing of the sidewalks. And they're our pedestrian voice. So they reached out to me today and I think they're gonna discuss that at their next meeting to give us some, the good, bad, and, suggestions as they see fit. And I think that is it.
DPW, it's all about asphalt. Mill Street to the bridge, Forest Street, the end of it, Forest Lane to the first house. Beach Street, I think we've already touched on that. I think we did. Yeah, we didn't. Okay. Beach Street sidewalk. Old Essex Road, the first part where they dug everything up for water. And Pine Street from the 128 interchange all the way past the transfer station to the water treatment plants.
Really?
So that's an extra 50 yards, 50, so I would say that's probably half of the dirt.
Mhm.
They're planning to go to the water treatment plant. So, and Colburn Road to Dexter Pond.
I don't know if that next part is officially happening yet or not. I think that's our desire is to
Oh, is that
go
right?
that far. We may need to
Talk to some people.
we may need to, I don't know if we need to go to the Conservation Commission or anything like that yet. Certainly for the part that's already pavement,
That's not a
replacing, that's
problem,
not an
but,
issue, but any new, we might need to.
That's an extra 50 yards and it would be good.
But it would be really helpful for our access in and out of the water treatment plant. to
Yes,
have
yeah,
that.
it would.
I don't like to go there because I fear
Yeah.
my tires.
Historic District Commission did not have a meeting this month. I assume you might comment on seniors. You're probably more up on some of the issues than I am there with regard to the agreement, et cetera. But there was a charrette, I guess, that was last week with regard to the senior, the plot plan and the building, and there were probably, I don't know, 25 people there or something like that. It's good. And then the library had its, the trustees had their meeting this past Friday. I think I mentioned they've got to do an ADA bathroom, and there was some discussion about what kind of a changing table you need. I think they are planning to have a kind of an adult or larger child changing table that is more like a platform that electrically goes up and down. But it will only take, the good news is it's only going to take probably 8 or 10 more square feet. So it's not a significant change in the requirements of the space. I think their initial reaction was, God, we're gonna have to double the size of the bathroom, but that's not the case. So I guess the bathroom might be, instead of 80 square feet, it will be 90 square feet or something like that.
That's enough to turn a wheelchair on.
Yeah, well, it was normally, but if you put this changing table in there, which cannot, the regular ones for infants fold up against the wall. Now, there's like a dental chair, it's just sitting there. It may be attached to the wall, but it's down flat and it stays that way. So that takes extra space.
Plenty of tables in the library. Put out a newspaper.
When's the last time you were in the library?
Just when you walk in the library, to the left, there's a big table.
So anyway, that was, I saw a couple of plans that they've got draft plans that Olson Lewis put together, and it looks like it's feasible without going crazy. The cost would go up a little bit, but it really is just largely due to the table itself, which is, I don't know, $10,000 or something. Relative to the whole project is not a tremendous amount of money.
I remember the days changing my kid on the bathroom floor and China Jade.
Okay.
Long time
That
ago.
was before these big, these
She didn't do it in the bar.
He didn't say he didn't, though, did he?
That's true.
Since I didn't think about it.
Okay.
School committee, as you may have heard, the school committee, the school department, had its hand slapped for excessive use of, school, revenue toward a ballot issue. That seemed odd because they had much higher standards than we had. But someone there was a complaint, and the result is really good. They said you shouldn't have done that, and there is no penalty. And the next time there is an election where the school budget or anything else involving the school, come and tell us what you're going to do, and we'll tell you ahead of time whether it works or not. So they have made a contact that will give them information. That there's an awful lot of other things that are going on. But essentially, the only thing might be of interest to us is they do an annual survey anonymously of dangerous behaviors of kids. And over the past 3 or 4 years, kids are reporting fewer dangerous behaviors than they did in the past. And whether that's there was no conclusion as to exactly why, but that seemed like good news. The Essex Elementary Building Program, they're currently scheduled for a vote in November 2026 to go ahead with the project. They are currently still looking to decide where to put the school and how many grades to put in the school, if any.
But they decided against a renovation though, right? They're gonna do
They
it
have
totally new
not-
school.
They have not decided against the renovation yet. But a renovation obviously would be in the current location.
Right, right.
The only alternative site is Apple Street, which would require the town to pay for bringing water, sewer, and improving the roads. And there's no reimbursement from the state for that.
It's a tough road.
Yeah,
It's a tough road. It's-
Tough road.
And that essentially they are considering K through 5 in probably pre-K through 5 in Essex, pre-K through 3 in Essex, then to see what would be required to move the whole elementary school. The latter two would require a change to the municipal agreement, which would require town vote.
It's good they're looking at options.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pre-K to 5 is what exists right now, but they got the other two scenarios.
It's only K through 5.
Excuse me.
Pre-K all goes to Manchester.
Oh,
At least I think so. The Board of Health, that improves the sewer plans. Also talked about the situation at 2 Desmond, which is the Gates. And eventually, the Gates lawyer suggested that the standard of the sanitary code that they were applying was appropriate for buildings that were being lived in and directed at landlords rather than people themselves. And their lawyer, the Board of Health eventually concurred that they need to make the area safe for people who are working in the building, meaning they have to have carbon monoxide, they have to get rid of the clutter, and they have to repair the wall by the sidewalk. The rest of the sanitary code can wait until they apply for an occupancy permit.
That's good news.
Yeah.
That is,
They,
that is good.
there is still, if they need to have fixed the required things by in the next month, or else they will resume with the court proceedings, but the intention, the expectation is that they will manage to get the clutter and the smoke and fire detectors and the wall fixed.
Good.
Which I think is good. And the finance committee met for the first time. They were looking at year-end report. They trying to figure out why Parks and Rec revenue was down and what the state of the launch revenue is. But mostly they were bringing everybody up to speed on what the finance committee does. There is at least one new member. The question was raised as how we happen to have a lot of money left over the year for sidewalks, but they will figure that out. And I think that's it. Administrators.
Okay, couple quick things before those that are listed on the agenda. The COA director position, we've had 12 candidates apply, and we're moving into interview process over the next this week and next week. I believe the special act for town administrator requires a department head position to be confirmed by the select board. Is the COA director position one that
Thought you restructured so that there's someone above that person now, or does this person report to you?
still report direct line to me, dotted line to the
Oh,
Health and
okay.
Human Services
I didn't
team.
think that's how it's gonna be. If it's direct line to you, then I do think we need to confirm the appointment. Right. I mean, if that's what the bylaw says,
And yeah,
yeah.
pretty sure that's what it says. So that we may be doing that at the next meeting or the second meeting in November. Still working on scheduling a meeting with the Masons for condo docs and the two attorneys, ours and theirs, to make progress on that. As far as budget prep or town meeting prep goes, we've received requests from department heads for capital, and we're reviewing those now. We'll be asking department heads to provide their operational requests over the coming weeks, and hopefully we have an update to provide to the finance committee mid-November. I met with Mike Chapman and got the update for Winthrop Field. This was another element of efficiency that we talked about. So I will forward to the select board the update that they provided, that he provided to me, but they are in good shape. And I have a breakdown of their budget and what their top issues are. I can send over to you. We also met with Chuck and I and Sue and Nate, we've met with our Northeast Regional Director for MVP. The town is required to apply for MVP 2.0 this year.
I'm sorry, what's that?
Municipal vulnerability preparedness.
Uh,
The town did a lot of work to become designated as a MVP community in the past. The state has now changed the program to 2.0. And if we want to maintain our status, we have to apply for 2.0 this year. So we're working to understand the benefit of maintaining the status and what the process is to go through that. It's a 2-year process, 3 phases. Phase 1 and 2 are in year 1, phase 3 in year 2. It does seem like there's more benefit for us in the community to apply for 2.0 regionally with Rockport and Gloucester and potentially Essex. They're due to apply as well. And then by applying for 2.0, we have the ability to apply for an action grant under MVP in the upcoming cycle. A single town application has a max of $3 million for that action grant. Regional is $5 million. And we're looking at it as a potential backup funding source for Central Street culvert in case things don't work out with the brick extension.
So that's 5 million over all the towns though, right?
Nope, it would be for the project itself. It doesn't have any negative impact.
But if you're, so you're going regionally, but that's 5 million over that whole region, right?
No.
No, it would be for that specific
This
project.
is-
Our angle is that it's
Oh,
a
okay.
regional benefit. And the
Yes.
key there for us is the electrical conduit
agree with
that
that.
goes through the system.
Okay.
Project
So-
would occur in Manchester, but if it's not done,
Yeah, then they got
region suffers.
telecommunication problems down the
That's-
line.
yeah.
It doesn't negatively impact their ability to apply for action grants on their own. They don't have to put any funding in as a match to join us as as a regional application. We would have to do public outreach, communication, education about the grant and the importance of it in all the towns. But the grant can actually fund the cost of that. And we could use the NOAA grant that we have as our match portion to the MVP grant. So it could be a good opportunity, a good backup opportunity for us.
Yeah.
And I've already spoken with Gloucester, Rockport, and Essex about it, and they all seem to be on board. So far, so good.
But which towns would suffer? Definitely Gloucester, Rockport.
Definitely those. I think it'd be a good idea to bring Essex in because of the school system.
Oh, right, okay,
but-
yeah, yeah, that's smart, yeah.
Okay,
Not
That's creative.
necessarily a huge like mover of the needle as far as how competitive we would be as a
Right.
region.
But they might be willing to help.
But they're,
Advocate for
yeah,
it,
yeah, exactly.
Awesome, that's
Exactly.
great.
Yes.
I also spoke with those 3 communities as well. We have about our Comcast contract which is up, and we have to go through a renegotiation process. Was really nothing for us to do at the moment, but started to chat about what that process looks like. And as it moves forward, we will make sure that, I mean, really Comcast is required to do all the public advertising of any type of meetings or contract negotiation pieces. And then I forwarded you today, we got the second response from the Attorney General on the ADU bylaws that were voted on at town meeting. Haven't had a chance, it's
It's a
It's
long
long.
document.
it's long. But the summary of it really is that Article 9 was accepted in full. Article 8 is accepted partially. There were some issues with Article 8 that had to deal with the language related to a permanent foundation and mobile home prohibition. You might recall that was a floor amendment that came up during the discussion, so that wasn't really something that had been part of like the planning board's review process previously to that. There's an issue with the minimum of a 6-month lease period on an ADU. And then dimensional requirements imposing the same setback requirements on an ADU as those imposed on the primary building. So they explain in this at length what the issues are. I have not fully reviewed it yet, but we got communications from Attorney General today on that.
I assume that's been forwarded to the planning board.
Yes.
And so they're looking for a response.
No, when the Attorney General makes a decision, essentially they just say this cannot be included in your newly published zoning bylaw. So Christine will find out clearly from the Attorney General what the new bylaw that she publishes is allowed to say, right? Eliminating these parts that are issues. For some of these the reason they deleted them the reason the Attorney General deleted them is because they were unclear as to what the town meant or what the town's intent was. I've read that a little bit in there. So I think it's possible that if we wanted to revisit those issues, we could.
So
At a
it's not
future time.
required, though, that we revisit them at a town meeting.
Correct.
The town clerk can just publish them with the edits from the Attorney General.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
And then we could come back
right.
and say, here's a clarification and town meeting, that will go to town.
Hmm.
Well, we're on the subject of town meeting. Is it possible, you guys did a great job of that timeline when we were thinking about a fall town meeting. Can we get one for the annual
Absolutely.
meeting?
I saw your email on
Yeah.
that.
That would be
and
really good.
I shared that special town meeting version with the finance committee.
Awesome.
We met with them too and talked about how we were gonna update that for.
Well, some of the stuff may come from them, but some of the stuff we put on the warrant had
Right.
nothing to do with finance, so, yeah,
Yep.
okay, awesome.
All right, so then, Chuck is here as well, on the meeting, to participate in our discussion about Ocean Street and PFAS. As far as Ocean Street goes, we've received a proposal. We're working on putting together the, purchase order so we can move forward with Fuss and O'Neill, for, a vulnerability assessment and conceptual planning services for Ocean Street. The vulnerability assessment is to evaluate current and future coastal flood risk, plan and facilitate a proactive community planning workshop and design charrette, and deliver conceptual planning alternatives. The project is a critical step in identifying feasible adaptation strategies for the future of Ocean Street that have support from the community and position the town to pursue additional funds to implement long-term risk reduction solutions. So this has been an item on our action list for quite some time. There's a number of, public engagement elements to this. I don't know if I actually forwarded this proposal over to you or not.
No, but more importantly, have you forwarded it to the community that's been asking for action on it?
No, I haven't. I mean, I believe it captures what they're.
Right.
Uh,
What you read off sounds good,
Mhm.
but I think the primary feedback I consistently get from that community is they were happy to get the $100,000 approved at town meeting for coming up with options, but they wanted to have input before that money was spent because they feel they got burned the last time we went in for a grant. It was like a couple of years ago, and the grant proposal it wasn't what they thought it was gonna be. So I just, I think in this particular sensitive situation, over communicating is better than assuming people are on the same page. So I would encourage you to even, not just send it to us, but Chuck probably has an email list of folks, hey, here's how we're thinking of moving forward. you know, maybe even schedule a meeting with them, or at least give them an opportunity to provide feedback. I don't know.
I mean, generally speaking, I'd prefer not to have residents, you know, making edits to a scope and proposal.
Yeah.
But I feel like I've gotten a good idea of what their concerns are, and I believe that this proposal captures that. I'd be happy to double check and communicate with those residents.
That's all I'm suggesting.
I might not send them
You don't have to send them the
Oh.
whole proposal, but even what you just read, I mean, I think more communication is better.
Yep.
Just, it's been going on for years, so.
Yeah.
They're 8 years or 9
So
years as far as.
was it just more they didn't like what they heard?
No,
results
I don't,
of the study?
Well, the study was canceled, the grant was, we backed away from the grant. I think the title of the grant included
abandoned.
a
Abandonment.
predetermined
Yeah.
solution. It
Yeah.
was not coming up with options. And
Yeah.
so it really just set the whole conversation on a negative tone, and we're trying to recover. Tony's trying to recover, he's doing a good
Yeah,
job,
so
but just,
We,
you know.
we task number 3, which is one of the larger phases of this scope. We put a lot of emphasis on
Yeah.
what we heard, and
Right.
it includes a multi-day planning workshop and design charrette, co-create alternative design concepts.
I don't have my glasses on, I see.
It's like a
hand up there.
3-day workshop.
So is there gonna be a hard look into what is permittable?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you can dream up whatever you want, but if you
Right.
can't do it, it's useless.
Yes. What's permittable, so what's feasible, what's permittable, what's grantable?
Right.
Yeah.
What's acceptable by the town and the neighbors? There's also, we've also asked them to do some additional research, maybe at the state level, to see if there's any pre-existing permitting or licenses from what was, you know, there's old seawalls down there that may have been gone through a Chapter 91 license or a Army Corps design process 40 years ago that we aren't aware of. And that could change what is permittable today if it's pre-existing. So we've asked them to do that research for us as well.
That's all awesome.
Yeah.
Like I said, it sounds good to me. I would just still suggest you guys meet with the residents. Because that's a long-term, how to fix it long-term, which we absolutely need to do. There may be some short-term concerns or whatever, it would be good to hear them out. That's
Yeah.
just my 2 cents. And I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses on. I see a hand up there and I don't know who's it.
It's Chuck.
Oh, it is.
Go ahead, Chuck.
Somebody listening.
Yeah, so I guess I just wanted to chime in a little bit here, having a little bit of history, but we did, a lot of this scope that Tony just went over was from the grants that we were pursuing in the last 12 months, not the one from 4 or 5 years ago. I think it was actually more than that now. But so like that has been a scope that we have pushed back and forth with the residents and abutters and, other interested parties in town. And so I just want to say like that, we didn't really stray too far from that. It's just we're at the point now where we were not successful in getting a couple different grants that we were hoping to get. And so we basically had to pare down those scopes to match our available budget, which is the 100,000 that you referenced. And so like this is not a surprise or something new that those folks wouldn't have seen before. And actually we did solicit several letters of support on that scope. So it's more of that. It's not something new or off the wall. So there is a little bit of history and back and forth that's already happened.
I agree. I'm just suggesting when you have a sensitive situation with residents, a little over communication can be better than, because it's probably been months. I mean, it's, it wasn't yesterday, right? So
Yeah.
if people forget, doesn't hurt.
Yeah. So I'll push something out to the, folks that I have been keeping in touch with and let them know that it's coming back.
Thank you.
And then we'll keep everyone involved as, of course, their first kind of task in front of them is to do some data research, go out there and actually do some engineering and understand like what is possible is kind of so that our first public meeting is productive. So
So
We'll have
we
some
have
time.
a sense as to how long that might take before, in addition to the communication you're gonna do in the near term, is, when might we expect them to complete enough work so we can have a true wide open public meeting?
I'm just reading through the scope real quick to see if it talks to that, but let's. We propose completing the task listed in this agreement within an estimated period of 9 months. So, the total is 9 months, but I would. Chuck, did you get any sort of breakdown of that 9 months, or do you? Could you?
No, I'm not.
We could ask them what they think each phase.
Yeah, I'll have to check back with them. I mean, it really comes down to how quickly we can execute the contract and get them doing the data collection that you mentioned and the modeling. I mean, that is a significant task that is going to take, I don't think we're going to be back in a month to, discuss the findings of the modeling. It's going to be a few
I think
months.
It sets expectations. If, it sounds like there's a lot in there in that proposal, but if there are different phases and we can set some expectations, this first phase is gonna take X amount of time and we can come back to you and share what we know.
Yeah.
I think that goes a long way towards helping people feel.
Right.
Yep, agreed, yep. Okay, and then Chuck, I will pass it to you for an update on where we are with everything related to PFAS. I know for Kathy, you've received through the facility planning committee meeting an update on where Lincoln Street well project is, but we don't have to go in depth here, I think, tonight, but Chuck, if you could give us a brief overview.
Right. So I think folks should know that we've done a lot of testing and conceptual designs at both of our facilities. And then there's been a lot of regulatory uncertainty on the numbers and how we've gone about this over the last few years. Right now, where we are in the process is we have a MCL from EPA that is currently, we need to be in compliance with that maximum contaminant limit by 2029. We have heard through the different EPA and whatnot with the Trump administration now instead of Biden that they are looking to add a couple of years to be in compliance, but they're not looking to take back any of those requirements for the MCL itself. So for instance, if they do, and they haven't done this yet, they've just talked about it, they might say instead of being in compliance in 2029, you can have until 2031, something along those lines. We have, Lincoln Street for us is ahead on design and development. One, because we got a EPA grant last year to cover the design. So that, that was one element of it, but it also has a higher PFAS concentration in the water at the well than what we see up at the treatment plant. So we are proceeding with that design. We did pilot and bench scale test the different medias and different techniques for removing the PFAS. The kind of the most economical and kind of most tried and true is the GAC, the granular activated carbon filters. To make the GAC effective, we will need to add green sand as well to remove the iron and manganese upstream of the PFAS removal that takes place in the GAC. So that's to say we will need a new building at the Lincoln Street site. And we've looked at kind of making sure it fits within that neighborhood and whatnot, but it will be a change. And then when we are finished with that job, we will have water that is PFAS free, and we'll have certain intervals where we have to dispose of the media and change out the media and these sort of things. But that's what we're working on. We will have a 60% design by the end of the month. We will be hearing back. We did submit a PEF application, a project evaluation form, to the state revolving fund to help fund the construction of that job. So we will hear back on that in January, typically is when the IUP comes out, the intended use plan. I actually went to a meeting last week to just see kind of what the status of the state's SRF funding is, with the government shutdown and as we saw with the BRIC program, how the money is there until it's not there type stuff. But it does seem that a lot of the money that is scheduled or was scheduled for the 2026 timeframe, which is our timeframe for construction, will still be available. That was part of a different, legislation under the Biden administration. So that's to say, the suspected terms of a SRF project for a PFAS at the Lincoln Street site will be, a 0% loan for 30 years, and there will likely be an element of debt forgiveness. So that's all very good for us. And then, we will also be looking to, go to the full design for what the improvements will be needed at Gravelly Pond at that facility. We did get some good news in the piloting and bench scale testing we did on the media there. We won't need a new building like we will at the well at Gravelly Pond. We will be able to, basically retrofit the existing filters and media to hopefully, or to be in compliance with the new MCL and to remove PFAS from the water. But the full design is not kind of vetted out like we are, the stage we're at with Lincoln Street. So those are, I think, the high points. We will be, this time next year, we'll be under construction. I anticipate that at this year's town meeting, we will need an authorization for bonding and, the SRF language at town meeting. Unfortunately, the way things are with tariffs and just the bidding market in general, and to, do the SRF is kind of a different standard of construction methodology in terms of there's requirements from the federal and the state on, minority business requirements and disadvantaged business requirements, as well as Buy American requirements. So these types of things will kind of add costs, but it's still going to be a net positive for the town in terms of debt forgiveness and loan terms. So, excuse me. So anyway, that's where we're at. It's probably going to be a $12 to $15 million project at Lincoln Street, and then it could be another 5 to 10 million at Gravelly Pond when we're done. But we will have PFAS free water, which will leave us in compliance with the regulations.
So just on that, the feedback from a couple of members of the Facilities Planning Committee, including myself, just a couple of us, we did give the consultants some feedback around focus on cleaning the water. Out of all the facilities we need to build, this one doesn't need to look like it fits on Central Street and be beautiful, okay? They had these nice designs with windows and it's like, nobody's gonna be in there, working in the building. It's some place where people pop in for a couple hours or whatever, do their testing and they leave. So, natural light is good, have the windows up, but it doesn't have to be real pretty. It has to, let's save our dollars by cleaning the water and some of the other buildings. This is a particular building where we can sacrifice a little bit of beauty to, yeah. to save some money. Yeah, exactly. It's hidden in the woods. I mean, it's not,
Right, yeah.
the front isn't, but
Yeah.
Right. So I think we took those comments, and I think, that's not a high bar to hit, is, making an ugly building. I've been on many projects where we've been accused of putting on ugly buildings, and I don't even think we need to go so far as to call it ugly. Oh, did I lose you?
No,
Okay,
we're
sorry.
Thinking.
Just thinking.
Just 5 minutes listening to this stuff.
Yeah.
Listen to it.
So you're looking for big money this coming April?
Correct.
I assume this is being done in chunks. You're going after Lincoln Street first, and then, because that's the one with the higher numbers anyway. And then, and then after that, maybe a year later, then you start on Gravelly Pond or something like that. So
Right. So, the discussions I've had with Tony and, and Andrea to kind of game plan it over the next, several years is to, I think we need to obviously get Lincoln Street done. But, if we're asking for a big chunk of money this year for construction at Lincoln Street, we should also keep in mind that we, have another design effort that's going to need to be undertaken. So we need to make sure that the funds are available there, whether they be town funds or, going for other grants or other monies that may be available for PFAS remediation. There's lawsuit money and stuff like that. So anyway, we're just making sure that we have in mind that the big chunk of money will predominantly go this year for construction, but we also need to, have the design in the pipeline so that when we're done with construction on Lincoln Street, we can move right into construction on Gravelly Pond.
So you really want to raise all the money in one shot, because to try and sell it twice is a lot of effort, and
Right. That's
I don't know.
not what I heard. I mean, I think we'll have a construction plus design.
Right.
This
Right.
year. The following, sometime later, we will have another construction.
Right, but are you gonna go for all of the money now and then you'll just draw it down when you need it a few years out? Or are you gonna go in two different initiatives?
I think it'll probably have to be two different initiatives because we will need
Okay.
the authorization for construction of Lincoln Street to, to meet the SRF, requirements. And so therefore, I mean, I guess it's not unheard of that we would, ask for the whole thing at once. It's just that's as yet undefined, I would say, for me to give you like a great number on that. I think, we have a very good number on the construction costs for Lincoln Street. I can get, in the next few months, we can develop a scope for design at Gravelly Pond, but to try and plan the construction, and hit that number for Gravelly Pond a couple years out right now is almost a fool's errand with just the way things are fluctuating in the market conditions right now. So even if I had a number, it'd have to be extremely conservative. And that's not, also that's double-edged sword, I guess.
Okay, well, communications plan is gonna be important for that initiative. For starting the first of next year or so,
Right.
prior to the annual meeting. I guess that's the most money, other than for schools, that's the most money this town will have to raise, and this is a story that a lot of people, everybody knows what the story is with the school, but this is a little more abstract.
For sure.
Any other?
Good.
I concur certainly with Chuck that it's hard to estimate the construction cost if you haven't done the design yet.
Hmm.
I think that was, Chuck, thank you for being here tonight. I think that was a really good update.
Mhm.
You hit on a lot of the different elements of, it's not an easy topic. It's a lot to it. And Chuck and Nate and their team have done a lot of work on this, and I thought that was a pretty good update there.
Yeah, it's good to know where we're headed, so.
There are lots of people who are interested
Right.
and saying, I don't know.
What's happening? Yep.
Yeah.
Well, they're definitely gonna hear about it in the coming months as we start to gear up for town meeting.
Thank you, Chuck.
Yep.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.
You too.
Mhm.
Okay. Have I forgotten anything? Okay. Is there a motion?
There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second, Richard, that was the motion? That was the motion? That's what I
All in
seconded.
favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. $12 million or so.
The change from the